the growth of a small market team that is expanding and doing well against bigger markets.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Portland's been doing that a long time. Continuity in that backcourt.
Yes.
And Dame Dollar at front and center. He's with Kristen Braun and the alley-oop in some of the matchups. One thing I love is when it's just conferences, guys, you kind of know what to expect. When you switch teams this way, Reg, you just heard Dame saying, he's like, look, last year I wasn't even on LeBron's team. Now I get to play with him, play with KD. You get different matchups you wouldn't have even in a normal All-Star game.
Oh, goosebumps. You get those feelings.
Right?
Like, I mean, you're used to playing against guys, you know, in your conference, and you get comfortable with that. But now when you're being picked playground style, you never would have had the opportunity to play with a LeBron James or a Kawhi Leonard. Now that conferences can be crossed, this is the best format because this is old school. This is how most of these guys grew up playing basketball.
This is a family show. I'm trying to reel it in.
Come on now, Beard.
That's the job here.
Keep it together now.
Keep the length on those shorts. When we sit there and we talk about All-Star, I love the first-time All-Stars and seeing it from the outside. I was talking a bit with Dan.
At this point, your high school coaches, it's just a wonderful celebration, and I really just remember meeting all the greats that I grew up admiring.
True story, 1991, my first All-Star game in Miami. There was only two first-time that made the All-Star team that year. Myself in the East and Kevin Johnson in the West. Not win them, but you'll be in ball games, and that's what separates the Spurs from a lot of different organizations.
And the other thing is we love talking about in the media the way things are now, negativity, and we don't finish out stories when they become positive. What Pop and LaMarcus did after the beginning, maybe not being on the same page, right, to get together, and I think for Pop even to adjust, for both to kind of come together, it's been a great story because he has played his tail off.
Yeah, because it's about winning, and you know, maybe coaches that maybe don't have the track record of a Popovich may have said it's my way or the highway, and that's what you have to love about Pop. His ego is the fact that he can do what he needs to do to win. He doesn't just have to have one style, and that was Pop said it. It was unfair, the position he put LaMarcus in. Hey, just go post up like Tim. He said, I had to learn him. I had to learn his personality, learn his game, and we see how that's worked out. He's learned his game, and that guy has helped his team tremendously. So that's a great conversation that those two guys had.
And how about a coach putting it on? So I was going to enjoy every practice that I had because I was never going to do it again. I was going to enjoy every bus ride because those were going to be dwindling down. Every plane ride, playing cards with the guys.
Come on, man, you got me tearing up now, man. I want to go play,
so I said, again, I'm going to enjoy everything. Signing autographs, going early, my whole routine, I wanted to enjoy it. And that's what D. Wade is going. That's what you've got to be thinking about. You're never going to be at this. We are at the highest level of our profession. All-stars, Hall of Famers, soon to be with you. You're never going to do it again. Every practice.
Did you change the way that you came out? Because I know you used to come out sometimes Michael Jackson. So did you ever change that to last year?
I went old school.
What'd you do?
Michael. I went Jackson 5. It wasn't Thriller.
No.
I went off the wall. Destiny.
The victory tour. I'm with you, baby.
The victory tour.
Went all the way from A to Z to ABC 1 2.
There we go.
I want you back.
We look at some of the half-court shots and Ben Simmons, among others. We think of kind of first-half stories. We had Embiid, one of the Elton Brand. You want to talk about 1 year? I think he's executive of the year for me.
Now, it will depend on what they do going forward. Because right now, other than the Golden State Warriors starting five, I would have to say the Sixers probably have the best starting five. Now, can that collection of talent, they've had Jimmy Butler since November, and now they just added Tobias Harris. Can they all get on the same page now here and get ready to make a deep run in the East, win the East, and represent the East in the finals?
And how much tougher is that? Because it's different when you get a full camp, right? And you know in an offseason, okay, we got to figure out how to gel it. This is on the fly, and it's, okay, Butler here, then Tobias Harris. Now we got 3 new guys on the bench. How does Ennis get his minutes? What do we do with this guy, that guy? Shamit's got, who do we fill those minutes? How tough is that when you're going through a season.
It is very tough, but I would say there's a few caveats. You have a couple of guys playing for free agency.
Yep.
That means you usually listen a little bit more than that time. You want to show that you're a great teammate. Tobias Harris has come in and played defense and showed that he can facilitate, as you see Damian Lillard knock one down from half court. I really like their makeup, and I think that this is a different situation. They're all coming together at the perfect time to get this one goal. And so they can be selfish collectively to win this championship. And if they win, everybody gets paid. So this is one of the few scenarios that if they win, everybody looks better and everyone gets paid, and all kind of the ulterior motives are for contracts and things like that are handled. And so I really like the makeup of this team. It's up for their bench to show how good they are and for them to prove it. But I think right now is the right time of being infused with that energy, especially when you look at what Toronto's done, when you look at what the Bucks have done. And so I really like the moves of the Sixers, and I'm interested in seeing how they finish out the season, Rich.
I will say one thing. They've been kind of on easy street because it's always been trust the process, the injuries. We're going to bring them around slow. A lot of pressure now is on Brett Brown and that coaching staff.
How about that? Yes.
You've got the talent in now.
Yes. No excuses.
Now you got to go out and actually forget the trust the process. We have to win now. You got to win now before these free agents, if they want to go somewhere else. Right now, this is it for the Sixers.
You know, it's interesting because we know in the East that we know what a coach Brad Stevens is. X's and O's, and also Brad Stevens either.
Well, hopefully we get Dwayne Wade's son throwing him a oop right now. Reg was talking about the fact of enjoying every moment. Well, this is what he's doing. He's staying after practice, knees sore, but you're right. And I think what the Celtics are going to have to learn now is how to coach personalities. It's different coaching a team with expectations of maybe making the playoffs. But when you have championship aspirations and players maybe not getting along, this is when you own your coaching dollars. And so how do you manage those? And you're right, it's going to be a different situation for the Celtics, who have been a disappointment this year with all of us thinking that they were going to help or be in the number one in the East.
And let me just follow one with you. Reg, fair or unfair? Look, we know Kyrie is creative as anybody who's ever played the game with the ball, and we know his talent level. But this is a choice he made. He wanted to leave. He wanted his own thing. Fair to say, to prove the leadership skills, proof is in the pudding. You have to find a way to get these young kids to meld with you to make that playoff run.
Fair to say, and that phone call to LeBron James told me a lot, because he understood the ways and how he was handled in Cleveland, and maybe some of his immaturity when you had a veteran like LeBron James coming home to Cleveland, and some of the trials and tribulations they went through, even though they went on to win a championship. He's going through that in Boston. But I understand it, because it's not easy to be a leader, because you've got to take into account not necessarily your own personality, not, Jason Tatum, who's a top-notch athlete, or Jaylen Brown, who's a top. The 12th man, you got to take his opinion just as much as important as your own. Yeah. And being a leader is understanding the temperature in that locker room and what's best for us to win. Not me, not you, not a couple guys, us 15. How can we get better, and what is the path that we need to take? And I think that's been a challenge, because they were successful getting to the conference finals without Kyrie last year. And you can't tell me that's not a little bit of a thorn in his side. And he's going to say, wait a minute, we did this without you last year. Now you come back and you've been off. You've been injured off and on. So I think that's what they're going through. But at the end of the day, in terms of talent, in terms of coaching, yeah, they're right there with Toronto, Milwaukee, Philly.
You look at talent, obviously, when you think and you see Kyrie, KD, the Warriors, beating them 4 out of 7 times seems insane to even bring up. But when you look at the West, regardless of seeding, and with no disrespect to Coach Malone, because of the way Oklahoma City plays and those two alphas in the defense.
But I think
two Golden State.
Right, two Golden State, to your point. But last year, a lot of us was on the Denver bandwagon. I was on the Denver bandwagon last year, and I expected them to be top 3 in the West this year. I don't know how they're going to handle the pressures of the playoffs. You don't know how guys now that are going to have to step up are going to handle that, so it's up to them to prove. But they have nice fertile ground there to win in the next few years, not just from guys like Jokic or their guards or the help that they have, but what Coach Malone has done to me has created a new culture there in Denver that says we can win, but we're going to play hard and be very entertaining. And they've had teams like that before, but not recently, so it's really fun watching the reemergence of that team, and you have to give them a lot of credit, but they're, to me, one of the